No, my name is Wendy Hunter.
Okay.
And that's my son's name. And you can't take away... Don't make me...
22 years! 22 years she spent in this marriage. 10 of them. We're talking about half. Half of the time this man was in another woman's home. Hello knockouts, Tonya TKO here, and I'm a self-love specialist from TonyaTko.com. Today we're going to be talking about Wendy Williams taking her ex-husband back. We're going to be talking about how that relates to self-love, as well as the particulars of it. I'm going to show you some images, as well as dive into some arbitals. And you know on the Tonya TKO show, arbitals are reading between the lines. So we're going to dive in deep into that. As you know, I am a self-love specialist. I help you learn how to love yourself and each other. On this channel, we use viral video topics as teachable moments for dating and relationships in our own lives. Relationships including platonic, romantic, family relationships. We talk about attracting high vibrational situations into our lives that resonate with us. Not just any relationship, but one that is nutritive to us. Not because a relationship is really just only how two things relate. But is that helping you? Are you self-loving through that relating? So we're going to jump into this story. I'm just going to say right off the bat, I do not enjoy this story. I do not want to do this story. I have not spoken on Wendy Williams and her marriage situation since it came out, and it's been months. And we're going to dive into it today, but I just want to say why I'm reluctant to even speak about it. I am from New York. And so Wendy Williams is a part of my life and a part of my youth. I respect Wendy very, very much. She was on the radio when I grew up, and her voice and her antics is the backdrop of who it is that many of us in New York grew to be. She's an icon.
Everybody know, really, the ratings for Kiss are doing really, really well. And I just want to thank everybody for listening, because although you might think I sit up here and diss and everything like that, I'm just a positive person trying to do a positive thing, trying to have a little bit of fun and make my mark in the world. Thank you very much for listening to Kiss, really.
And I was invited to a film festival a few years ago, and I got a chance to speak with Wendy. And what I gather from Wendy is a very hurt soul, can I put it? I don't know how else to put it. She's very sensitive. Even after all of these years of being on TV, she's very sensitive, and she's very self-protective, and she has a huge personality, but there's a lot of stuff going on, an undercurrent under that. And so I love Wendy, and I do not relish in the pain that she's feeling. I didn't relish in the cheating and the her not wanting to talk about it, even with the hypocritical parts of it, because Wendy will jump into another person's relationship in a moment. But when it came to her relationship, she was hush-hush about it. She didn't want to talk. And it's like she would drag up, like she would pull people onto her show, and she would, like, even before, like Wendy, like the Wendy that you all know nowadays is tame Wendy. Wendy was a beast back in the days. That fat Wendy, when Wendy was fluffy and chubby and loud, and people despised her because she would unearth things that just could have stayed earthed, right?
Wendy, why do you diss people?
Oh, Ralph, let me tell you something. I heard something about you. If you turn off the camera, I'll tell you exactly what it is.
And Wendy is a human being. So whatever comes through Wendy comes through her filter. And now that Wendy's relationship is on display, now this is now coming to my arena as a vlogger, where we're going to be talking about self-love. I don't relish in talking about anybody's situation, but we use them as examples for our own lives. This is why I don't let people come into my airwaves attacking other people about what this, that, and the other, their life. No, I use these videos as examples for you to look into your own life and for me to look into mine. Trust and believe, because you know I wrote this book on self-love, and I use the book myself each and every day. So let's go forward. Let's go forward. Daily Mail is reporting, and they've been pretty accurate with their reporting, because like when this first came out, I just stayed in the background and I just watched everything unfold. You all know me, right? So let's jump into it. Daily Mail is reporting, exclusive, Wendy Williams takes cheating husband Kevin Hunter back, but only as her business manager after having emotional heart-to-heart talks about the legacy of their charity work and production work. I'll just read this for you and then we'll jump into my commentary. Wendy Williams is taking back her cheating husband Kevin Hunter, but only as her business manager. The 55-year-old host dumped Hunter, 47, in April after his long-term affair with massage therapist Sharina Hudson, 33. We're going to be doing the math on all of this. Was exposed by Daily Mail. They are close to a settlement, and Williams paved the way for Hunter to return as her business manager, providing he refrained from pursuing her over alimony. So this woman is having to deal with having to perhaps pay alimony to her husband who cheated on her and created a child out of wedlock. So let's go forward. The news comes after they had a heart-to-heart talk deciding they didn't want to dissolve their production company, publishing house, or charitable foundation. They still make a quote-unquote solid team, having built a successful business, which they are now trying to preserve with a carefully negotiated divorce deal, a source said. Of course, Wendy was furious with Kevin over his affair, but she's since softened her view of him and wants an amicable divorce, they added. All right, so let's go forward. Let's go forward, right? Well, let's do the numbers, because you can go look up the article. I'll put the link below. In reading the numbers, something dawned on me, and I hope that we can use this as examples for each one of us. Kevin states inside there that he's known her for 28 years. They've been married 22 years. He's been having an affair for 10 years, right? So let's do the math on that. Wendy is 55. Kevin/Kelvin, whatever his name is, Hunter, is 47, and Sharina is 33. They've been married 22 years, so when they got married, Wendy was 33, Kevin was 25, and Sharina was 11. Let's talk about it. All right? 28 years ago, Wendy Williams was 27, Kevin Hunter was 19, and Sharina was 5. Okay, let's talk about these numbers. What does all of this mean? You know what? Before we jump into what it means, I'm going to read a statement from Kevin for you all, because I want you all to hear this, what it is that he has to say. 28 years ago, I met an amazing woman, Wendy Williams. At the time, I didn't realize that she would not only become my wife, but would also change the face of entertainment and the world. I have dedicated most of our lives to the business empire that is Wendy Williams Hunter, a person that I truly love and respect unconditionally, he said. I am not proud of my recent actions, and I take full accountability and apologize to my wife, my family, and her amazing fans. I am going through a time of self-reflection, and I'm trying to right some wrongs. Self-reflection? Man, you already have another child out of wedlock. What is it to reflect on now that your penis done squirted up into another woman so many times that you produced an offspring? Let's go forward. No matter what the outcome is or what the future holds, we are still the Hunter family, and I will continue to work with and fully support my wife in this business and through and all obstacles she may face living her new life of sobriety, while I also work on mine. So they're reporting that Kevin Hunter also has alcoholism issues. So this man, Kevin, was her saving grace. There's so many things that I want to talk about in this situation, right? Let's just jump into all of it. All right. So Wendy was a person who liked to party and party hardy, if you catch my drift. She was addicted to cocaine. She even tried crack a few times, but she didn't really like the crack. She liked the cocaine high. She met this man who, in this relationship, she was able to have a child through this relationship when she thought that because of all of her abortions and her decimated womb that she'd not be able to give birth. This is according to my recollection from reading her book. If I got anything wrong, you can correct me in the comments. I'm big enough to admit that, right? So in this relationship, she was able to produce this child. You could tell how much she loved Kevin from the ways that she exalted him, pushed him out towards the front, how she entrusted him, and he returned this trust by cheating on her with some woman who was 5 when they met. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Now we talk about hypergamy on this channel, which is dating up, right? And then there's hypogamy, which is dating down. So always, we vloggers, we warn against hypogamy, meeting a man who has nothing, who has less, and then taking him off, dusting him off, and then bringing him up shiny and brand new, right? And Sherry Shepherd, Wendy Williams, B. Smith, all of these amazing, talented women, Jill Scott, who dated down and ended up feeling the brunt end of that decision, right? So she met Kevin when he was 19 and she was 27. It makes me wonder, what was a 27-year-old woman doing troving around the doggone high school yard in the first place? 19, right? So this man had not come into his own. He had not come into himself. He had not yet grown into knowing who it is that he would want to be, what it is that he would want out of life. He had not had a chance to gain success on his own. So he found success through the coupling with Wendy Williams. He became a successful manager. And so, according to what the Daily Mail is reporting, there are people who are saying that Kevin really held things together. Once he left, there's been just a lot of kind of chaotic things going on, which are deteriorating behind the scenes, right? And so, yeah, so he was an amazing manager. Great. She's wanting to give him this position so that he doesn't pursue alimony. One of his concerns is he may not pursue alimony, but once he gets this job, he can be, quote unquote, fired from the job. So he's a little bit concerned about that. And he wants to make sure that he looks out for his own future and his own interests. I mean, this is a man with a newborn child, for goodness sake. So, Papa got to bring home the bag. You know what I'm saying? So listen, let's go forward. Let's go forward. So they met when he was 19. They got married when he was 25 and she was 33. So, it's like people are looking at Wendy now that she's, in her 50s and all this other stuff. But Wendy was young once. And by comparison, she's still fairly young, right? But she married him when she was 33. She was a young woman, fertile, in her prime. And so she married this man who was 25. He hadn't really gotten to know who it is that he would be, who he is to become. And then he came into this union and found success through managing her. But sooner or later, let's take a look. When he was 37 now, he began an affair with a woman who was 23. So when all was said and done, for all the dusting off that she did and brought him into this job, when all was said and done, he got with a woman who was a massage therapist, a woman who didn't have success on her own, and the girl isn't even really, some of you can look at her and think that she's cute if she want to. I don't personally, but she's not somebody I have to lay down with, but she's an average looking woman, average body, and he now when you look at her, now that she got the baby and the bag and she's living off of Wendy's dime, oh, look at her with the little fur and the smile and you know what, my heart breaks for her as well. Because how do you carry on a 10-year affair with a married man who has a family and a child, and then you go forth and have a child with this man and allow this man to leave his marriage, and you're smiling because you don't realize that you've gotten with a man of bad stock. A good man doesn't carry on a 10-year affair with someone. He handles his business where he lay, at home with his wife. He handles his business first, and then he treats you like the woman that you deserve to be treated like. and he makes an honest woman out of you by first handling his situation. If he needs to dissolve the marriage first, then he dissolves it first, and then he comes and he makes an honest woman out of you. Right? So she's smiling now. She got the money, she got the man, she got the baby. But if she know like I know, and like many of you know, how you get them is how you lose them. I ain't wishing nothing on her, but she's gotten with a man of low integrity. Now, you know, and I know, listen, I know many of us women, I know we hop after these men who are like, no, because I told you all the story about the man who came to my loft and he was like, you know what, I need to get my paper up. I did not chase after him. I said, you know what, brother, you right, get your paper up. Because any man that comes into this situation with me needs to feel like a man. He needs to be a grown man. He needs to have found himself, right? But she attached and latched herself onto this younger man who was able to produce a child with her, and she stopped her cocaine in ways, and then she became a wife, and she loved that life of turning the key and having somebody there with her. But is that person there for her? You know what I'm saying? Because so many of us, we talked about this in the last video, where that girl was like, she'd rather have a toxic man than a man who's non-black. There's so many of us who just want a person. You all know what I'm about to say. A person with what? Listen, with what? That's right, a person with a penis. You just want a person with a penis at home. Listen, I'm a woman. Listen, I'm a woman. And as you see me here in all of my feminine glory, oh, you know, I love men. Men provide that balance and that rooted structure, that strength that you can come to lean on and depend on. The right man. But what does the wrong man do? The wrong man, who is a broken man, who brings brokenness into your relationship, a toxic man, a low vibrational man who vibrates very low in your relationship, what does he bring into your life? It's not just any man. Listen, because there's so many of us out there who are shaming women for remaining man-free and child-free until they find the right one for them. And Wendy said on her show, when you turn that key and there's nobody there but crickets and you're lonely, right?
And no matter what you have, when you turn the key to your abode and there's no one there but crickets, it's not all good.
Because Wendy had never come to love herself. She had never come to the place inside of her life where she was grounded and rooted in self-love, so that when she turned the key and she was in her company, that she was in good company. Listen to what it is that I'm saying. I got chills saying that. I got chills. Listen. When she came home, it was a matter of not hearing crickets, rather than hearing the harps of self-love going through inside your mind. Because I told you all, when I turn the key to my abode, it's like home. You know, they say home is where the heart is. Yes, home is where the heart is. So what is the caliber of the man that you have sitting up in your home? Is he in your home? Wendy lived for 10 years with this man who was outside of her home with his heart, but inside of her home with his body. Because all that matters is that when she turned the key, there was more than just crickets there. But where did that crickets lead her? To a fractured arm trying to hold on to a man trying to get out? To her son now coming up on charges for attacking this man in the parking lot after this man, quote unquote, allegedly attacked his mother? Listen, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. It led to her being in a sobriety assisted living facility surrounded by gray walls and a cot with no TV, sitting there self-reflecting over her own doggone life. But when she came out of there, what did she have to do and say? Now you got the woman up on Instagram showing images of her straddling men, showing her wig down on the floor by some alleged man's shoes, trying to show that she's living her best life. But then when you ask her a question inside of an interview, she starts breaking down into tears when she talks about her last name.
Have you changed out the credit cards and the bank accounts and everything to change your last name?
No, my name is Wendy Hunter.
Okay.
That's my son's name. And you can't take away... Don't make me... Next.
22 years! 22 years she spent in this marriage. 10 of them. We're talking about half. Half of the time this man was in another woman's home. Listen to what it is that I'm saying. Because the relationship was more important than the caliber thereof. So it was more important to her that she turned the key and had a body there than having somebody there for her, there, in her place, in their home. Her heart, his body, the mind, the union, respecting the vows. It was more important that she had a person with a penis. Somebody when you turn the key so you don't hear crickets. But you feel the crickets in your heart, the loneliness, because the person that you're trying desperately to hold on to is no longer there. You're gripping and you're grasping and you're breaking your nails trying to hold on to this person that is slipping out your grasp. Hear me. But she had a person with a penis. Just anybody sitting at home. Half of their marriage he spent visibly out with another woman. Half. And goodness knows what else he was doing before then. Because she plucked the fruit off the tree before the fruit was ready. She plucked the fruit off the tree before the fruit was ready. When I was a child, my mother grew roses in the garden. She grew roses in the garden. And I'll never forget, when I was a child, I was impatient. I saw the bud come up. And it peeled back so that you saw the bits of the red come out. And I loved that fragrant smell of the roses. I did. This is why I wear them in my videos and I have them all around me. I love roses. I do. And I took that bud and I plucked the bud off the tree. And you know what I did in my childish ignorance? I took it and I tried to peel it apart so that I could get the flowers to come out, so I could get that majestic rose scent. And I peeled it back, and you know what happened? It deteriorated in my hand. I peeled it back, but it wasn't ready. It wasn't ready. Everything has its time. It wasn't ready. Listen to me, ladies. So many of us out there are getting into these relationships with men who are not ready. They're the buds on the tree. And we're peeling back those layers because we're trying to make him something that he is not. And I will hear men, for the most part, let you know when he's not ready. He doesn't return your phone calls. He doesn't step up as man. He doesn't pursue you. His life does not look like the life of a man in his manness. No. But we pluck that bud off the tree and we try to dust off the leaves and make him ready. And he ain't ready. And a 27-year-old woman meeting a 19-year-old man would know that in her near 30-year-old wisdom. She would know. It's only men that I see out here acting ignorant, like Puff Daddy. We're going to talk about Puff Daddy in the next video. Puff Daddy and his 22-year-old girl. It's only men who in their ignorance and ego try to pretend as if it doesn't matter when the bud matures. Oh, that was too New York. Matures. Goodness. It doesn't matter when the bud matures. So they'll pluck it off the tree before it's ready. And there are far too many women out there who got plucked off the tree before they were ready. And they're in relationships now saddled with children, and a relationship that doesn't feel like home when I tell you home is where the heart is. There's so many women saddled in relationships and they don't even know who they are right now because they got plucked off the vine before they were ready. Listen. Let's give these people out there time to grow, people. Let's give people time to grow. You know what? We were supposed to be talking about Wendy, but I make these videos as an example for all of our lives. And I don't say any of this. And the thing is, people sometimes they misunderstand my video. I'm not saying this to attack. I love Wendy. Wendy is the fabric of my life. I love Wendy. I do. However, there are lessons here for each one of our lives. I don't present this as if my crap doesn't stink. As a matter of fact, I talk with you all about the stuff that goes on inside of my life. And we have to give people the capacity to be able to come out and speak without ridicule, because none of our lives are perfect. And when people are like, oh, Tonya, how are your videos, self-love videos? Oh, this doesn't feel like self-love. Listen. When you're peeling back the layers, sometimes it feels a little uncomfortable, but I hope that by my very presence on this channel, that it exemplifies self-love by example, by the way that I come on camera without makeup, by the way that I wear the same outfit in every video, by the way that I will sit here with my belly. I don't put on shapewear to sit here and make these videos. I sit here. Look, this is my body. I work on my body. I continue to enhance my being. However, this is how I look, and I love myself. Rolls and all. I love myself. Bold face, no eyebrows and all. Listen to me. And I hope that by my mere example, even having these conversations with you, that you use this as an opportunity to self-reflect. My channel is not like every other channel. I don't just give the news here. I don't just talk about the gossip. I don't even just spill the tea. I'm hoping that you understand that with each video, that there's some lessons and some nuggets in there for you to reflect on your own life. So right now we're talking about Wendy Williams. She's the person who is being used as the example right now. However, there are many of us out here who understand and know, and I'm hoping that you can pivot, that you can hear some of this. If something sounds familiar, if something doesn't feel right, inside of you, if you feel triggered, I'm hoping that these videos, like when you trigger, you pull that trigger. There's a catalyst. And I hope that my videos act as a catalyst for you to be able to create the change that you need in your life, to be able to live your best life abundantly and furtively. This is why I wrote this book. I wrote this book because I care about you. Because, and like I said, I talk about my mess on this show. I spent a year in 2016 living in my car. You all saw me from being a business owner, falling down into the trenches, living and wallowing in that existence, and then rising like the phoenix back out of it. But I was forthright and open with you along the way. And this is the book that I wrote for you, my love story to you, for you, to create the love story in you. It's a workbook. So it's not just a book that you just sit back and and I'm writing one of those books too, where you sit back, where you listen in the audio. But the universe instructed me to publish this book first, for you to do the work. Do the work. Like how Wendy sat up inside of the rehab facility, and then when she came out, she's still talking about being lonely, showing her behind out there, drinking and carrying on. Well, listen, Daily Mail is reporting she was slurring her words in one of her broadcasts, and she's supposed to be sober right now, so she's not supposed to be out there drinking and carrying on, but she's out there masking this pain. And it's like the truth comes up through all of us. The truth comes up eventually. Listen, this is my book. You can find it on Amazon. On Amazon, they're shipping Prime. When you buy it on my website, I autograph it for you. So there are 2 different ways to buy, with pros for each way. This is my personal book, because listen, there's leveling up that we can all do in our lives, all of us, until we're there at the peak existence, where every time we snap our fingers, we manifest and everything turns to gold. We're still moving one foot in front of the other. We all can level up in one way or another. Get the book. Some people try to use the book as a shaming. Oh, Wendy needs to get your, but we all need the book. We all need the book. I need the book. I use my book. I write out those affirmations, and you use it before sleep or wake. You know what? We're running down on time, so let me get out of the video now. Go out there and love one another, but most importantly, what? That's right. Love yourself. Love yourself. and loving yourself. You know what? There's so many things we didn't get to talk about in this story, but just go over to the Daily Mail and read all of that stuff about the selling of the house and the courts and all of this stuff. And just my purpose was to talk about self-love through this relationship. So go out there and love yourself. Love yourself, and loving yourself is 1, being honest with yourself. 2, picking the buds when it's ready. 3, allowing your bud to be picked when it's ready and not a moment before. Don't trap yourself. Male or female, don't trap yourself. So loving yourself is acknowledging who it is that you are, your own limitations. And continuing to love yourself anyway and moving forward from there. So listen, Tonya TKO, and I am out. Leave your comment below. Share this video. Somebody who knows Wendy, get this video into her hands. I want her to hear what it is that we had to say. Get it into Kevin and Sharina's hands too. And let them play it out loud in front of the baby. Listen, let's go forward. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, come over to my website, join the mailing list. You get a free copy of my Relax MP3. Make sure that you look for the video on the 10 ways to tell whether or not your man is going to be wealthy. Listen, I'm out of here. Peace.